Hello and welcome to my presentation, Humor in Generation Z's Digital Body Language. My name is Galajda. I come from the University of Silesia in Katowice in Poland, and I would like to tell you a bit more about my research study. Let me start with the general characteristics of Gen Z, so people born between 1997 and 2012. First of all, they are wired in and they are called digital natives. They usually claim no religious affiliation, but they suffer from mental health challenges, so they struggle with mental health and emotional health. They struggle also with the issue of identity. They are diverse in terms of race and ethnicity. They have friends and partners from a variety of environments. They grow too slow and too fast at the same moment. The parents are both over-engaged and under-engaged. They control them a lot, but on the other hand, they don't know so much about their children. Generation Z is the generation of entrepreneurs. They seek and see the value of education, and they like educating themselves in a way they prefer. They are aware of a troubled planet. They are a very ecological generation, and they are politically progressive. The second concept I'm introducing in this research project is digital body language. And digital body language in research focuses on techniques and ways of understanding interpersonal communication using digital devices and symbols. It is the translation of elements of physical body language into punctuation, abbreviations used in text messages, captions, emoji, emoticons, but also memes and GIFs and reaction peaks and many, many more. Other examples of digital body language include liking a message, so all types of reactions. First impression during a video call, whether the camera is on or off. How we behave in such situations in front of camera when speaking, for example. Responding using symbols, quickly replying to messages, and the way Gen Z or we in general reply to messages, and many other similar behaviors. Digital body language is a fresh concept. We are still trying to define it in different spheres of life, both from the sociological perspective, psychological perspective, and also, like in my presentation, linguistic perspective. So digital body language is sometimes referred to as the new normal, which is significantly influencing the concept of modern communication because it changes the communication we've been used to so far, and according to some, it may in the near future partly shape communicative competence because it is no longer, it seems that it is no longer incorporating grammar, vocabulary, a strategic competence, pragmatic competence, but also digital body language and the way of interpreting it. The third concept I'm introducing here is, first of all, something which is difficult to define, but something which is really important to us all and something which has become really, really important to us. And I'm very happy about it. And that's something that I'm also focusing on this presentation. So self-awareness, vulnerability, self-compassion, self-reg and emotionality, and self-acceptance. These are the self-concept, the psychological affective concepts which build our well-being. And well-being became so important, not only since pandemic, but since the moment we realize that the generation now in the 20s and also the teenagers and all the kids in primary schools, they suffer from the lack of well-being and all of the mental problems and psychological disorders. That's why we need to take care of well-being. And in this presentation, I became really interested in what well-being is for Gen Zers and how it is visible in digital body language that they produce in the digital world they live in. So how about telling you now something more about the research project? The subject was a group of 80 first-year students of English philology translation program studying at the University of Silesia in Katowice in Poland, and they were all Gen Zers. The research questions are as follows. What are the manifestations, understanding, and interpretation of humor in Generation Z's digital body language and online communication? And the second one, what is the role of digital humor in building Generation Z's well-being? As a tool, I used a series of in-depth exploratory interviews. There were 3 of them. I conducted them during conversation classes at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of the winter term. What is particularly interesting is that I gathered lots of different data. I couldn't, due to lack of time, put here the majority of them. However, I tried to pick and choose the ones that are really important and that they might show you the gist of the research results. So we have the quotations from the interview. For example, it is much easier for me to make jokes when I use emoticons, emoji, and memes. So having fun making jokes is much easier with the use of digital body language. 90% of what I write in the digital world is fun stuff. I feel better, I feel more relaxed. You don't feel the need to explain anything because the picture says it all. It is immediately clear what we are laughing at. Using reaction pics is natural to me. Someone sends something and I respond. So again, all of these quotations, which I have read so far, they show that digital body language, humor, and communication cannot just be separated in the case of Generation Z. By using digital body language, and we have a question mark here, the respondent was not sure, and the whole group of respondents, they just didn't know that something like digital body language exists. By using digital body language, I fully accept what I want to communicate to others. So we have the self concept here. I cannot imagine functioning without all the communication I use on social media and online in general. It's like not being able to talk. So here is something I mentioned earlier. So the changing definition of communicative competence. I'm waiting for reactions. There doesn't have to be an answer, but the reaction is important to me. So this is what is the sense. This is what is the core of communication. That would be reactions, tone indicators, which are mentioned later on. With friends, we have a code. We use specific memes, reaction pics. Everyone knows what it's about. It's about sense of belonging, self-acceptance, and acceptance by the group dynamics as well. Reactions, tone indicators, emoji, reaction pics. It all makes me feel good, makes me relax, amuses me. So this component of well-being in the usage of digital body language by Gen Zers is visibly and clearly stated here. So what are the conclusions and answers to the research questions and main findings on this very little piece of evidence I presented? First of all, humor is the primary, most frequently used coping mechanism in this generation functioning. They joke, they make fun, they make jokes. and they laugh all the time, even if they don't feel like that to. Humorous emoji, memes, GIFs are a form of non-verbal communication when words fail or the situation needs an illustration of emotions. So they use it for illustration, they use it for paraphrasing how they feel, what they want to say. For every national or global event, there is an array of humorous, sarcastic memes that usually explain the situation in a humorous way. We could observe it, for example, during pandemic, when everybody, and including Gen Z, when they were so down because of the situation, they were trying, and this is what they prove here in the research, they were trying to turn it into jokes just to find some relief in this horrible situation. Social media and the internet, together with digital humor included, in general, are an emotional buffer for Gen Z. And I don't know if it's good or bad. It can be evaluated from different sides, but that's the fact that Generation Z uses social media and the internet for exploring their emotions and for showing, presenting the way they feel, including when they are happy and when they want to present something in a humorous way. Gen Z want to use language to express emotions but don't know how, and this is the place in which digital body language is often used to camouflage their emotions with laughter. So don't be misled by the fact that there are so many funny emoji or funny memes or humorous reaction pics. Usually they are sarcastic and they are just covering up something else, some negative emotions. Digital body language represents not only emotions but also concepts. So seemingly small actions such as putting an exclamation mark at the end of a sentence or a full stop at the end of a sentence, not even a sentence, but a full stop after okay, or writing in capital letters can have a huge impact on how we are perceived by the recipient of a message and influence their perception of us, our attitude, and the message being conveyed. Digital body language is a valuable form of communication and language expression, but what should be stressed here is that this research was conducted in the Polish context, and what I have already learned is that, for example, what distinguishes Poland from other countries, for example, in Western Europe, is that Polish Gen Zs use different types of communicators. And I suppose, I guess, that the same situation might be with different types of emoji, emoticons, reaction pics. So it is very much culture specific. However, as I will say in a second, it helps to reduce the cultural differences. Digital body language can engage more shy or introverted people into discussion, having a positive impact on their well-being. This is what is stressed by all Gen Zers, the shy ones and the introverted ones and the ambiverts, extroverts, that they feel more incorporated into the communication process and they feel good about it because finally they can say something and it is much easier for them. And finally, self-related concepts like the acceptance, awareness, compassion that I enumerated in this research are strongly influenced by digital body language. So Gen Z express themselves and learn about themselves and others using and interpreting digital body language. And that's why decoding this system of communication is so important to them and to older generation, like millennials, like me, for example. Previous generation know less about the online world. That's why we have to learn much more and we have to learn from Gen Zs. But we are better at relationships and the real world in general because we were brought up in the world without digital technology. So we still remember how it is to communicate. Like I said, digital body language fills the cross-cultural gap. But digital body language can be subjected to multi-dimensional linguistic analysis, and I'm just so excited to include discourse analysis, contrastive studies, and above all, what I'm interested in, exploring emotional messages, relationship, psychophysical states such as well-being or lack of it, and their expression in language. Thank you so much for your attention. attention. This is just a piece of my research project. If you are more interested in that, please contact me via the email address or any other way. On the right side, on the left side, we have the references for my presentation. Thank you so much and goodbye.